you doing out there, family? Welcome back, my LLs, my Lubari listeners, my fellow real estate enthusiasts and fellow real estate investors. Welcome back to another episode of the Lubari Real Estate Podcast. Today, we're upgrading a phrase that you've heard 1,000 times and that I've also made another podcast about. Your network is your net worth. But this time we're going to take it a little bit deeper because collecting business cards is not networking. Adding random people on social media is not relationship building. Going to events without intention is not strategy. The title of this episode is Your Network is Your Net Worth 2.0. Strategic relationships over random connections. So if you want to grow as an investor and as a leader, your relationships must be intentional, cultivated, and leveraged with integrity. Let's break down how to do that at a high level. Okay? So, first of all, random networking is different than a strategic ecosystem building. Most people network reactively. They go to events, they shake hands, exchange numbers, say, let's connect, and then nothing happens. That's random networking. Strategic investors build ecosystems. An ecosystem includes brokers, lenders, attorneys, property managers, contractors, insurance agents, passive investors, mentors is a big one, operators at your level, and operators above your level. And that's not random. That right there is architecture. So if you're serious about scaling, you don't just meet people. What you do is you take time and you design your circle. You ask yourself, where are my weaknesses? Who already operates at the level I want? Who controls deal flow? Who controls capital? Those are strategic questions. And the whole point of this is become valuable before you become connected. Because here's the mistake most investors make. They ask before they add value. Do you have any deals? Can you invest? Can you introduce me to so-and-so? No, that's not what you do. Instead, you need to ask, how can I contribute? How can I add value? How can I help you? What can I do for you? Right? Because value can look different. And here are some different ways value can look. You can share market data. You can connect to people. You can refer business. You can provide insight. And you can show up consistently and professionally. And if you do all these things, and if you become known as reliable, prepared, responsive, and ethical, your network grows naturally. And your credibility capital compounds. And credibility is more valuable than charisma, because you can be the most charismatic person in the world, right? But how credible are you? What does your character say? What do people say about you before you even enter the room? Right? That's why it's important to have the mindset of quality over quantity, right? Because at the end of the day, you really don't need 5,000 connections. What you need is 15 to 20 strong ones in your ecosystem. And high-level relationships require a few things, okay? So they require follow-ups. They require intentional communication, shared goals, and trust over time. So instead of asking, how many people do I know? ask, who would answer my call today? Because your depth is going to beat your breadth. And the investor who has two strong brokers, one reliable lender, one trusted attorney, or three loyal investors, that type of investor will outperform the one who knows everybody but has no depth. Because the truth is, relationships are assets. So treat them like assets. All right? And that's why you also need to track your relationships like they're investments, because they really are. And here's where we elevate this. If you track units, why not track relationships? You can create a simple system, right? You can create a broker list, a lender list, an investor list, or a strategic operator list. And then you can track the dates you last contacted them, make personal notes, the deal criteria, capital capacity, and a follow-up schedule, right? Because high level operators don't rely on memory. Lord knows mine ain't the best, but they don't rely on memory. They rely on systems. So if you speak with an investor once a year, that's not a relationship. If you update them quarterly, even when you don't have a deal, that builds trust. And consistency builds familiarity. Familiarity builds confidence. And confidence unlocks capital. Okay? Now, this ties into why you need to build your personal board of advisors, right? Because every serious investor should have a personal board. And it doesn't have to be formal, but it does need to be intentional. So identify someone ahead of you operationally, someone strong in finance, someone with market insight, and someone disciplined and honest enough to challenge you. And you don't even need them on the payroll. You just need their perspective, right? So before major decisions, run it by them. And always listen more than you speak, and accept criticism or critique without your ego. Just leave your ego out the door, man. All right? And this is going to compress and shorten your learning curve. And it also prevents expensive mistakes, because isolation is going to limit your growth, but proximity is going to accelerate it. Birds of a feather going to flock together now, right? And when you're doing this, you need to make sure that you are protecting your reputation relentlessly, okay? So here's something critical. Your reputation is your strongest networking tool. So if you overpromise, undercommunicate, get emotional, miss deadlines, or blame others, word travels. And real estate is a small world. But if you communicate clearly, close cleanly, honor your commitments, and take responsibility, word travels even faster. And your reputation will compound quietly. And eventually, opportunities come right to you. Just fall in your lap. It's just like that. Right? So now let's segue into what I call strategic room selection. Okay? Now, that's the last principle. So, upgrade your rooms. If you're always the biggest investor in a room or the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So you need to surround yourself with people who are doing larger deals, people more disciplined than you, people who challenge your thinking, and people who move differently, right? Because what exposure is going to do is it's going to recalibrate what feels possible. And your standards are going to rise automatically. And your network determines your normalization. So if average surrounds you, if you're surrounded by average people doing average things in an average way, then average is going to start to feel safe to you. But if you place yourself in an environment where excellence surrounds you, then you're going to feel like excellence is required of you. All right. So just remember that your network isn't about visibility. It's more so about alignment. And it's about building a circle where deals flow, where capital flows, where knowledge flows, and accountability flows. Okay? Because when you have strategic relationships like this, what it's going to do is it's going to reduce the amount of friction that you have in your network and when you're doing deals. Okay? So relationships like these, they're going to speed up your closings. They're going to improve your underwriting. They're going to strengthen your capital raises and provide support during adversity. And beyond business, they shape who you become. Because iron sharpens iron. Man, that is true. Iron does sharpen iron. So surround yourself with people who demand excellence of themselves and challenge you to be excellent. And if you take one action after this episode, let it be this. Identify 3 key relationships you need to strengthen this quarter. Okay? Reach out, add value, follow up, and be intentional. And stop networking randomly. Jeez. And start building strategically. Because your next deal or your next capital partner, your next level is likely already one relationship away. That's it. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. Stay intentional, stay connected, and keep building your ecosystem with discipline. And I'll see you all next week on the next episode of the Lubari Real Estate Podcast. I love you all and be blessed.